Every choice casts a shadow. Some shadows never leave. No one remembered when the whispering forest first learned to speak. Some believed it was older than kings. Others claimed it was born from the first lie ever told. But every child in Ashen Vale grew up hearing the same warning: never accept a gift from a stranger after sunset. Kale laughed at such stories. He had no time for old legends. Legends did not feed hungry children. The forests had become quiet. The deer had vanished. Rivers yielded fewer fish with each passing season. Winter arrived earlier every year, and the people of Ashen Vale whispered that the land itself was dying. Kale hunted from dawn until darkness, returning most evenings with empty hands. His wife, Elara, never complained. She simply divided the last loaf of bread into smaller pieces and smiled at their young son, as though tomorrow would surely be kinder. But Kale saw through her smile. Hope was becoming harder to fake. One bitter evening, he walked deeper into the whispering forest than he had ever dared before. The trees grew taller, the air grew colder, even the wind refused to follow. Then he saw it, a magnificent white stag. Its antlers shimmered like silver beneath the moonlight. It stood perfectly still, watching him. Kale slowly raised his bow. His fingers tightened around the string. The arrow flew. Silence. The stag vanished. Not ran. Vanished. The arrow struck nothing but darkness. A voice drifted through the trees. "You hunt well." Kale spun around. A man dressed in a long black cloak stood beneath an ancient oak tree. His face remained hidden beneath the shadow of his hood. "I've never heard your footsteps," Kale said. "You were listening for the wrong things." Kale gripped another arrow. "You shouldn't be here." The stranger smiled. "Neither should you." For a long moment, neither man spoke. Then the stranger looked toward the empty game bag hanging from Kale's shoulder. "You've gone 6 days without a successful hunt." Kale frowned. "How do you know that?" "You have debts." Silence. "Your roof leaks." More silence. "Your son hides his hunger so his mother can eat." Kale's breathing became heavier. "Who are you?" The stranger ignored the question. "What would you give to change your life?" Kale answered without thinking. "Anything." The stranger nodded slowly. "Most people say that." Then he reached into his cloak and removed a small leather pouch. It landed at Kale's feet with a heavy thud. Kale opened it. Gold. Pure gold. Enough to buy land. Enough to feed his family for years. Enough to change everything. "There is more," the stranger said calmly. "As much as you could ever need." Kale stared at the coins. "What do you want?" The stranger's answer was almost gentle. "Your shadow." Kale blinked. "My shadow?" "Yes." Kale laughed. "A shadow has no value." "Exactly. So you'll trade mountains of gold for something worthless. If it is truly worthless, then you lose nothing." Kale looked down. His shadow stretched across the forest floor beneath the moonlight. He laughed again. "What kind of trick is this?" "There is no trick." "No blood?" "No." "No soul?" "No." "No promises?" "Only one." "What?" "Once given, it can never be returned." Kale looked at the gold. He thought of Elara. He thought of his son. He thought of another winter without food. Old stories echoed in his memory. Never accept a gift from a stranger after sunset. He crushed the thought. Stories were for children. Hunger was real. What must I do? The stranger extended his hand. "Step forward." Kale did. The forest became silent. The stranger whispered words in a language older than memory. The moonlight darkened. Kale felt an icy weight pass through his body. Not pain. Absence. Something left him. The leaves trembled. The wind returned. The stranger smiled. "It is done." Kale looked down. His feet stood beneath the moon, but there was nothing beside them, no shadow. The stranger picked up the empty pouch. "You'll find another at your doorstep every full moon." Then he stepped backward. The darkness swallowed him. He was gone. Kale stood alone. His heart raced. He laughed nervously. I've become rich because of a shadow. He walked home before sunrise. At his door waited another leather sack, even heavier than the first. Gold spilled across the floor as Elara gasped. Within weeks, everything changed. The leaking roof disappeared. The worn clothing became fine linen. Their empty table overflowed with food. People who once ignored Kale now greeted him with respect. Merchants bowed. Neighbors smiled. Children admired him. For the first time in years, life was easy, but peace never arrived. Instead, something else followed him home. Life became everything Kale had dreamed of. Every full moon, another leather pouch appeared at his doorstep. Every pouch was filled with gold. Soon, he owned the largest home in Ashen Vale. His hunting days were over. Servants worked his land. Merchants competed for his business. The same people who once pitied him now sought his approval. But the forest remembered. One morning, Kale rode into the woods to hunt, not because he needed food, but because he missed the silence of the trees. The moment he entered the forest, every bird stopped singing. The deer fled before he could even see them. His horse trembled beneath him. It refused to take another step. Kale climbed down and walked alone. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. Then he noticed something strange. The sunlight touched every tree, except him. He looked down. Still no shadow. For the first time, fear found a place in his heart. That night, Elara reached for his hand. She paused. You're freezing. I'm fine. No, you're not. She looked into his eyes. They don't look the same anymore. Kale forced a smile. I've just been tired, but sleep no longer came easily. Every night he dreamed of standing alone in endless darkness. Somewhere behind him, footsteps, always close, never seen. Every time he turned around, nothing, only the sound of breathing that wasn't his own. Weeks became months. The gold continued to arrive, yet every gift seemed to take something in return. Flowers withered when he touched them. Dogs growled as he walked past. Babies cried the moment he entered a room. Even mirrors betrayed him. One evening, while washing his face, Kale looked up. His reflection blinked. He had not. He stumbled backward. The reflection continued staring at him, smiling. Then, it slowly faded into darkness. Kale smashed the mirror. Glass covered the floor. Elara rushed inside. What happened? Kale looked at the broken pieces. I don't know anymore. The whispers began soon after. He's cursed. He walks without a shadow. Don't let him near your children. Ashen Vale no longer admired its richest man. It feared him. Kale returned to the whispering forest. He searched for the stranger. Every night, he shouted. He begged. He cursed the empty woods. Nothing answered, until the next full moon. The stranger appeared exactly where they had first met. You came. Kale fell to his knees. Take the gold back. The stranger remained silent. I don't want it. Still, silence. I want my shadow. The stranger finally spoke. You misunderstand. What? You never sold your shadow. Kale stared. You sold the part of yourself. That cast it. The words struck harder than any blade. What does that mean? It means every act of greed leaves a mark. Every selfish choice darkens the soul. You simply chose to see yours. Kale's voice trembled. Can I undo it? Yes. Hope returned. Tell me. The stranger looked toward the moon. The price is greater than gold. What must I give? You must willingly surrender everything you gained, without expecting anything in return. Kale hesitated. His mansion, his land, his wealth, everything. The stranger watched without judgment. At sunrise, Kale returned to Ashen Vale. He sold every possession. He forgave every debt owed to him. He fed every hungry family. He rebuilt broken homes. He gave away every coin. By nightfall, he owned nothing. He walked back into the whispering forest. The stranger stood waiting. "You've paid the price." Kale looked down. A faint shadow stretched beside his feet. Small, fragile, but real. The stranger smiled for the first time. "Remember this. A shadow is not darkness. It is proof that light still follows you." The wind carried the stranger away. Kale never saw him again. Years later, children would gather around village fires to hear the tale of the hunter who became the richest man in Ashen Vale, and the poorest. Not because he lost his gold, but because he almost lost himself. And from that day forward, every parent ended the story with the same warning: never trade what makes you human for what only makes you wealthy. If this story made you think, let me know in the comments. What would you have done? Kept the gold or given it all away? Subscribe to Fable Throne, where every story has a shadow. New stories every week. The next tale will be even darker.